Good morning, everyone. It's morning coffee with Leanne, and life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes those little chocolates taste like shit. I don't know. I'm not having a very good day today. I had a very bad evening last night. Did not sleep very good. Things are just frustrating. Sometimes things come out of the woodwork, and then you just got to deal with things as they come. Yeah. I'm just going to get into our book. And I guess that this little principle or chapter kind of spoke to me a lot this morning because, I mean, as I've talked about in previous episodes of this, I've had a lot of problems in life. I've had a lot of moments of rejection, and I've had a lot of trials that I've had to come through. And I just feel like over the last couple years specifically, it's just I have just been beat the shit out of, and I'd really some time of I guess a break, from just bad things happening all the time. Again, I mean, it's not terribly bad. There's always something that can be figured out. But I just want to relate with everybody here that it's guess what? I have problems too. I have problems too. But this chapter here, this principle is kind of a way of accepting them. It's not what I wanted to hear this morning. Not the encouragement that I wanted to get, but I'm going to give it to you. Problems and crises are a part of life. Some people hit a problem and stop dead in their tracks, and that's where they stay. There are other people who find something very useful in problems. They ask, what can I learn from this experience? What does God want to change in me? This is our 6th principle for finding God's way in your life. Welcome your problems as gifts from God to help you become a better person. I guess this is hard for me because I am a problem solver, big time. And I am learning here that sometimes there's nothing that you can personally do to fix a problem. I don't like to hear that. I always like to feel like there are always things you can do to fix and save and do all the things. But there's always that factor of things you can't control. And as much as I like to talk about, digging your heels in and, doing all the things and going harder and fighting and doing all that, and you can't do that for other people. And sometimes they're just situations that you literally can't control at all. Focus our energies on putting out, we all tend to focus our energies on putting out the fire and making sure it doesn't flare up again soon. Problems are pain. They hurt. Problems, we just want to put the fire out and then protect ourselves from it. It's a problem. It's painful and we want it gone. So that's what we concentrate on. There's nothing wrong with trying to solve the problem and alleviate the pain. It goes on to tell a story about this guy who lost his job and he needed another job and he was really trying to find another one. But the way out of his problem wasn't his first concern. Rather, he was primarily interested in seeing God's perspective of his problem and finding God's way through it. I feel like that's a frustrating answer. It's a frustrating answer, and it's not what I want to hear. But I think that God is bringing me through trials and tribulations and frustrating things specifically to build my character, because that's what I prayed for, you know? I prayed for patience years and years ago. I ended up getting 4 sons out of it. You know, I love my boys. I do feel like I have gained a lot of patience over the years. But sometimes when you pray for things, you got to watch what you pray for, because God really will answer those prayers, but he doesn't answer them by just giving you the actual thing that you're praying for. He answers them by giving you the opposite things that will test the thing that you are asking for. So again, rather, instead of focusing on his actual problem, he was primarily interested in seeing God's perspective of his problem and finding God's way through it. The key word here is through. It's very important, because God sees our problems very differently than we do. It talks about how you come to the doctor for, because you're in agony, you have some pain. Make the pain go away. You want it done now. You want a pill or a shot or something to get rid of the pain. But your wise physician knows your pain is a sign of a deeper problem. He prescribes even more pain, which could be surgery or physical therapy. It's your choice, though. You can demand immediate relief, knowing that your physical problem will reoccur, or you can go through the healing process and resolve the problem once and for all. God loves you completely and wants the best for you, but he is less concerned about your immediate comfort than your long-term health and growth. That is something that is, I know that in my mind. And I do feel like I do appreciate problems, you know, and even in a recent episode, I even said, sometimes when things go awry or go crazy or some messed up shit happens, I am kind of excited to see, okay, God, what are you going to do here? And I do feel that way. But then I guess it's just when I'm already feeling those types of things, and then another bad thing happens on top of it that makes the situation that I was already praying about worse. You know, it's frustrating. I do care about my long-term growth. I do care about working through the problems. And I feel let me go through this, and I'll talk a little bit more once the time comes. In the Bible, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance." God's way is not out of your problems, but through them. That's how we learn from our difficulties and find God's way. So instead of looking for a way out, consider 2 other places: upward and inward. Upward, you must turn the eyes of your heart toward God. I do think that Now I always talk to God. Like, I'm a person who's like, I mean, God's like my bestie. It's like, I'll just be sitting here, like, I'll be sitting on the toilet, like, oh, hey, God, you know, I'll be sitting in the car driving down the street, like, hey, God, you know, it's like almost like he's sitting next to me, like in the passenger seat. But I gotta remember that it's like, I need to be in the passenger seat. I am a passenger princess, okay? Ever since I have been with Josh, like, he is my driving guy. I never have to drive when Josh is around. Very, very rarely. Very rarely. Especially if we're driving in his truck, his beloved truck. And I'm thankful for that. Ugh, I could cry a little bit. I read this already, so it's like weird that I'm like getting emotional. But I've always had to be like the driver, you know? I've always been the driver. I've always been the guy in control. And so sometimes it gets scary because Josh is a crazy driver. And so sometimes he'll be like just driving and then like, you know, do something crazy or whatever. And then I'm like, you know, I'm like grabbing the side of the door and like freaking out or like, you know, making a noise or whatever. And he's like, babe, I got it. It's fine. And it's weird because like I'm not even crying about Josh. Like Josh and I are great. Everything's fine. It's just like this just reminded me of the fact that it's like just talking to God and saying he's in the passenger seat. I think that I would be more safe and taken care of and more at peace if I was in the passenger seat and let God drive. This just came to me like as I was speaking, so like that's why I'm getting so emotional right now. It's weird because I already read this and like I wasn't emotional, but now it's like just thinking and talking all these things through, it's like it just kind of like came as a revelation to me. But it's like I need to just like, it's like God could be driving the car and I'm, you know, freaking out a little bit because this stuff that I'm going through like looks crazy and looks scary. And sometimes it feels like I'm just ready to like completely give up on everything. But like thinking about Josh driving and like be like, babe, it's fine. Like I got it. Like I knew that that was going to happen, you know? Like I knew that like sometimes he'll even look at me expecting that like knowing that I'm going to be like freaked out by whatever crazy thing he just did on the road. And he'll like, I knew you were going to do that, you know? And so it's almost just kind of like God's telling me right now that like, pretend like I'm Josh in the truck, you know? Let me drive you for once in your life. It's like if you can sit here and feel safe with Josh driving the truck, which Josh is an amazing man, but like, he's not God, you know? And so often I sit here, like I've been in tears all night. I'll just get like personal. It's like, business is hard, you know? I mean, I have so many, like I'm great at doing business. I'm great at marketing business, but it's like, you know, owning a beauty business, like in a time where people are worried about food and like basic necessities. And then there's all this fear mongering, you know, I mean, I see Facebook posts all the time saying like, oh, well, if you can't afford food, you shouldn't have your nails done and your hair done and like all this other stuff. And it's like, I'm looking at like me and the girls and I'm thinking like, that's our fucking job, you know? And then, you know, I put so much effort into these girls. Like I love these girls. You know, I put a whole business boot camp, like to start right now, like during the whole thing. And like, some of them don't even want to do it because they're busy with other things, and I totally understand that, but it's just like I did it intentionally to like try to help, and then it just feels like the whole thing is just falling apart, you know? And Josh always tells me, like, Leanne, you shouldn't be oversharing. You shouldn't like be telling everybody our business. And it's like, I'm just not. I mean, but I'm also a real person. And it's like, I do want people to understand that it's like owning a business is not like, it's not this glamorous thing, you know? To be honest, it's like, I was much less stressed and more happy when I was just renting a spot, you know? And I always knew that this was going to be hard. I always knew that it was going to be hard, but it's even harder when like it's not just me that I'm worried about, you know? And so it like hurts, you know? It's like frustrating. I'm going to keep reading. Like a lost child crying out to a parent, cry out to the one, oh god dang it. Cry out to the one who knows the solution to your problem, the lessons to be learned, and the way to get you there. Our tendency is to play it safe. Ever since I was 16, and I lost my license because I was driving like 60 and a 40, and one of the Cortland police pulled me over. I lost my license for 20 whole days, which was a very long time at 16, especially after you just got your license. Like, I've always been very diligent on making sure that like I abide by the speed limit and I do the stuff. I mean, I will get a little bit crazy here and there, just like if I'm passing someone who's like really, really slow, but like, and I do have road rage, but like for the most part, it's like I'm a rule follower. And I follow the rules because I specifically don't want to have like problems with people. I don't want to have problems with things. I want to be like under the radar. I don't want to be pulled over by anything. Like I don't want any excuses to like have problems. I don't like having problems, you know? I feel like I've had a share of them and I'm just like want to just be like left alone in a certain capacity. But God knows that our safe approach to problems dry up the soul. Everybody tells me I'm crazy a lot of times because I am. I do end up just doing things even though I'm afraid of them. I'm afraid of having the problems of them, but I still just do it anyway because I know that the risk is going to the reward is going to, you know, whatever. The risk is better than you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And so I don't know, but maybe that's what God is taking me through right now. And again, I mean, I'm speaking to you guys, but I'm also speaking to myself. Like, I think like my soul is being dried up by trying to avoid all kinds of problems and try to appease everybody and please everybody and be the kind and nice and happy person all the freaking time. And I just think that like, you know, God doesn't want me to be like fake, you know? He wants me to be a real person. He wants me to show real and raw things. And I think that that's why God is kind of bringing me out of hiding right now. You know, it's like I've never been a person who has wanted to like go on these lives, especially with my dirty house behind me and my messy hair and looking like a crazy person. But I feel like God is like bringing me to a place where it's like, Leanne, okay, it's like, now's your time, you know? Now's your time to talk about all the things that I've brought you through. And so I'm going to do it. And even yesterday I was thinking like, you know, whenever you start doing things that are disruptive to the enemy, he's going to attack, you know? And it's like, I don't know why I'm crying so much. And so I was even like half suspecting like yesterday that it's like, you know what, especially now I'm going to say this right now, because especially once I start going into this next book, like this book here is like a prerequisite for the book that I'm about to read, because this book that I'm going to read, which I would really like anybody who wants to follow me to get Attack Lambs. And I can put it even in the comments. It's called Attack Lambs. It's like a maroon book. That book is going to be so powerful, not only right now, but just for the things that are coming. And I'm almost like scared to read that book. Like, I've read portions of the book. I've never finished it. And somebody gave it to me years ago and I was supposed to read it. And so now I'm going to be reading it like over like a video. And I just have a feeling that it's like, this is going to like bring trials and tribulations because the devil does not want me to read that book. I don't know why. And even since I've announced it and started telling people to get that book, like life has just even started to get like crazier for me. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it afraid. But, you know, these are when the trials and tribulations are going to come. When you step out of the norm, you step out of the mundane, you step out of doing all the things because, you know, the devil has you distracted in life by all of the problems or the little things, you know, or even he has you distracted in your own comfort. When you step out of that and you start going like head first towards the plan and the purpose that God has for your life, which is what I'm kind of doing right now, it is trying because, again, I know I've said this before, a thief does not rob empty houses. And when you have like a fire inside there, a gem that like a diamond that is just being formed by all this pressure and all this stuff, it's like, I mean, like once that diamond is like starting to be visible to the world, I mean, thieves are going to be coming all over to try to get it, you know? The second direction we need to look in times of trouble is inward. Once you've looked up to God, he will take you on a journey into yourself to teach you valuable lessons. He will shine a lantern of truth into the recesses of your heart. And honestly, he is doing that for me. I mean, I'm also very self-reflective to begin with, but I think my real problem is just like thinking that problems like aren't gonna come, which I know that they are and I deal with them, but it's like it creates like this panic in me. It creates like it brings up rejection in my life, and I just really try to like avoid it. And I think that this is just one of those things where God is trying to like be like, hey, guess what? You're going to be going through a lot of problems. So like, let's just go through them together and learn how to lean on me. And so I'm going to do it. But I'm also going to allow him to let me look in myself and just dig up any like things that maybe I just haven't been able to dig up on my own. The next thing is like accepting pain as normal. Problems are also a gift in that they help us normalize pain. That is, expect pain as a regular part of life. We protest or deny or argue that these things should not be. You know, we look around and we think like, oh my God, these problems, like they shouldn't be happening right now. But in reality, it's like, God, nothing, if you are covered by the blood of Jesus, if you are a Christian, if you are somebody who like follows Jesus every day, like the devil can't just come over and do stuff. I mean, go back to the book of Job, you know, like the devil can't just come over and just start messing with your life. It's like God has to allow those things to come to you. And I'm not saying that God just like wants you to be miserable, but it's like God picks and chooses like certain things that he wants to allow you to go through so that those things can do the work in you that he is trying to like do. And so I also have to remember that it's like stressful things, painful things, horrible things, things that you go through. It's like those are sometimes not from God, but God allows me to go through them. And I think that he wants me to also like lean on him, because I do find that I start to lean on him a lot more when I am having issues than when things are going great. Although I am very thankful, and I'm always talking about Jesus, always. If you know me, if you've ever met me, if you've ever even been in my chair, it's like, I mean, my shop is church. And I think that that's probably another reason why it's like difficult sometimes. The first lesson of trouble It must be accepted as a normal part of life. You must give up your protest about pain and problems and come to a place of acceptance. You accept that you don't have all the answers. Accept that some problems will remain mysteries until we are face to face with God. Acceptance helps us live in God's reality, adapt and change to the way things really are, and trust him. Like, I am going through like a life shift. Like I'm in a bridge between like who I was and where I have been to like where, like who I'm going to be and where I'm going. Josh and I are in a really big transition right now with the whole family and like different things that we're trying to do. And I'm not going to like talk much about that right now just because there's like loose ends and things that we're trying to figure out. But, like there's a huge shift like coming into our lives that we are initiating. And, it feels like it's something that God wants me to do. And I think that like, I don't know if, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, we're in that place where it's like, we're ready to go, but then like, we're not like physically ready to go yet, you know? And it's like, there's a lot of things that we have to do in between. So I'm glad that we have the time, but it's like, also like, when's this shit gonna be over? You know what I mean? But I'm really trying to like, I want to almost be in a position. Now it's like, whenever I do finally go out and like openly say exactly what we're doing, people are going to be like, Leanne, are you absolutely insane? And the answer is yes, but I'm insane for Jesus, you know? And, I almost want to be in a situation where I have to trust him. Like, that's kind of the reason why we're doing what we're doing, is because we want to be in a situation where like we get to see what God does. We get to be closer to them. I want the kids to be closer to them. And so it's like, it's just one of those things. Identification with suffering. Our problems are gifts in another way. They help us identify with God's sufferings. God is not one to shrink from problems, nor does he avoid the difficulty they cause him. He could have created the world differently, but he has chosen a path that brings suffering to himself. Ever since Adam and Eve, the human race has been a problem for God. He only wants to love and guide us, but we have walked away from him since the beginning. He tries to draw close to us, and we shake our fists in his face or attempt to be gods ourselves. God's response to his problem with us is to face it and take responsibility for doing something about it. While he redeems, restores, forgives, repairs, and heals us, he suffers from what we put him through. We learn to identify or associate ourselves with his suffering. So I like, that really spoke to me too. And it's like, I've had that in the back of my head before. And, but like reading it again, I think during a problem that's kind of similar, I love that. See, I am all about like, I mean, I always pray anybody that walks into my shop, I want them to feel the love of Jesus and the presence of Jesus. And, I love that, that made you feel at home, because that's how I want everything to always feel. And I don't think that I'll ever stop that, you know. I don't want it to be like a brainwashing type of Jesus. I want it to be like a Jesus that's just hanging out, like in the back, you know what I mean? Like not overwhelming and overpowering to the point where it pushes people away, but I want it to be like a welcoming environment for everybody. That was so really nice. It made me lose my train of thought. That's awesome. We learn to identify or associate ourselves with his suffering. So again, I mean, like, God suffers like loving us, you know, being loved by God. It's like, we're also like so imperfect. I mean, I think about my own kids, like every time they piss me off or something, it's like, but I love you so much. Come give me a hug. And then they're like, yeah, no, forget you, you know, or, like I do see that, or like I look around and I think to myself, because I'm such like a little Jesus girl, like I am kind of like a kid when it comes to thinking about Jesus. And like I look around at so many people who like literally don't love him at all, or they hate him, or they're mad at him, and I understand why. But at the same time, it's like I also don't understand why, because it's like I'm like, but Jesus is so cool. It's like he's like your dad. You know what I mean? It's like he's like your bro. It's like you got Jesus and you got God, you got all the stuff. It's like you got like a dad, you know? And I just I think suffering through problems and then remembering that Jesus was blown off in his own town. God is blown off every single day by people just because of whatever reason. People just hate God for multitudes of reasons. Some of them were raised to hate God. Some of them hate God because somebody else had an issue with God and told them about that, or they hear it in the media or TikTok or wherever. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, if you only knew. Anyway, there's much to be learned through problems as we allow ourselves to come closer to God's sufferings. I mean, let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross. I mean, my God. Thank you, God, that I don't have to endure that, you know? I mean, to be like Jesus, the way that he was, and then just be struck down like that and treated and like talked to as if he's a bad person, you know, the rejection. And I feel rejection a lot. I can't, like, I'm just so thankful that like I don't have to have that kind of punishment, and that I was covered by that, you know, and I accept that as my sacrifice. Thank you, Jesus, for doing that I don't have to. But it's still, I mean, it's humbling when you're having your own problems and then you think about what Jesus was dealing with. Dude. Getting through a problem was not nearly as important as what they learned about suffering God's way. Don't ask God to get rid of your problems, and don't merely tolerate them. Welcome them as gifts, and you will find God's way through them. View your problems as the next steps of growth for you. And that's the end of that like little principle. I know I'm like a sobbing, blubbery mess. I'm so sorry. I already read this and highlighted before I even got on here. That's why I do that on purpose, so that I can like know what I'm talking about. But it's like, I guess just as I'm talking about it, and I know I thought that this wasn't going to be very long, but here we are again. I don't know. I think it's just like, we just all need to expect that there's going to be problems, know that there's going to be problems, and stop looking at the problems and trying to like just figure it out like in the immediate moment. Ask God what he wants us to do, because it's like, if he's not giving you anything to do, then what more is there to do? And I mean, I ask God like, okay, I've done everything that I know like to do. Like what, like, why aren't you fixing this problem? Why aren't you doing anything about it? And here I am reading this today. Thanks, you know. But it's fine. I'm going to sit in the problem. I'm going to wait and see what happens. And I'm going to try to get excited about the idea that maybe I get to see a miracle. Maybe I get to see something cool that God's about to do. Maybe I get to see a transformation in somebody that I normally wouldn't have been able to see. But I also have to remember that business, jobs, money, houses, success, like all these things, it's not God. And at the end of the day, if I have to lose all of those things to get to him, then fuck it, you know? If if it takes closing the doors on my shop, if it takes, like losing my house, if it takes like, getting rid of like every single follower that I have on Facebook, fuck it. I want God more than that. I want him more than that. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Everybody can leave me. I can be like left destitute and sitting on the side of the road. And guess what? I'm still going to be standing there talking about Jesus, because you know what? There's people on the side of the road right now living in that situation who need to hear that. So fuck it. I don't care. And I'll say fuck while I'm talking about Jesus, because Jesus knows me and he probably doesn't like it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm here for that reason alone. And if my life and my words, I mean, not the fuck word, but the other ones, if my life does not point towards God, especially for my children, for my husband, for the people that I love, my family, and everybody that watches me, they can watch me fall all they want. And at the end of the day, if I am still looking upward, that's all that matters. I will go to my death preaching the gospel of Jesus and talking about a way of a better living. And I will always encourage you, even in these moments when I'm literally feeling like rolling over and just giving up. Because I do feel like that today. I do. I feel alone. I feel left. I feel rejected. Like I even had a dream last night that, like I was in this room with like these people, and, like for whatever reason, like they didn't like me. I wasn't mean. I wasn't nasty. Like in my own mind, like I had like all good intentions, but they just didn't like me for whatever reason. And then like, the person's dad, who I was like there actually talking to, was telling my son that like I was a fair weather friend, or like, I don't even know what that means, but like it was in my dream, and that I was a bad person and like this and that. And like, like my son came and told me like, Mom, like this person was like talking all this bad stuff about you. First of all, don't be talking to my son about nothing about me, because I will come and kick your ass, and then I will be a bad person. But seriously, I wasn't like that in my dream. I was actually like really kind. And so I was really sad and I was really hurt. And I, went to the person who was saying that, and I said, hey, like, why are you talking to my son and saying this, this, and this? Like, why are you doing that? And then like he proceeded to tell me like about who I was and like why he didn't like me. And I said, I'm like, well, I believe in this and I think this, and like this is who I really am. And he's like, I do like you. And I was like, yeah, I figured you would. But then I remember like waking up like shortly after that, because I guess there was like a piece that was made, but I remember waking up, like physically waking up, and I just started sobbing, like, because I just felt like that immediate rejection for no reason. And it's like, rejection for me is so hard because like my dad rejected me, you know, even my stepdad was kind of like rejecting of me, for a long time. I mean, I was always rejected by friends, and like, I mean, pretty much every aspect of my life, I've been rejected. I mean, I've been in relationships before where I was rejected or cheated on or left, for no reason. And I mean, I do accept like some of the things that maybe I did to cause that, but it's just, like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm always trying to be a good person. I'm always trying to be right. And I'm not gonna be perfect ever. I'm never gonna be perfect. And I am an asshole and a crazy person and a bitch. And I will cut somebody if they like mess with my kids. But like, I'm not like, I don't know. Rejection is a really big part of my problem, I think. And I just need to, I don't know. I think that that's what God is bringing me to right now. So I can be rejected all day long if that means that I get to be more like Jesus. So, again, fuck it. Anyway, I'm going to stop like sobbing all over my phone and all over my kitchen. I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to get in the shower and I'm going to kick today's ass, even if I'm crying while I'm doing it, because we can't stop. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to go until we can't go anymore. So I love you guys. I feel like I've actually had more people watching me today than any other day. So I'm kind of glad about that. But I just want to thank you guys. And we will talk again soon. I think there's one more day of this book. So if you guys really want to get that book, Attack Lambs, again, if you really want to get it, like, message me. I can, I know I've said it a couple different times. It's called Attack Lambs. You can get it on Amazon. It's like by Mark Geppert. And, I don't think it's very expensive. I want to say it's between like $10 and $20. But this book, I believe, is really going to be a very powerful book. And, we're going to read it. I'm going to read it and I'm going to tell you guys all about it. And let's see how it goes. Anyway, thanks guys. I will talk to you tomorrow.